What is going on, guys? Welcome back, Swish Life Garage. Boy KT as always, Mike. What's up, guys? I'm bringing you yet another video for the Del Sol. If you guys saw the previous video, I'm just following off of that one. On the previous video, I did completely take off the core support as well as the lower bar that is attached to the core support. Basically, what I want to do is make it pretty much like a sectional that you can bolt up to the front of the car. And like I said before, you know, I want this something where I could simply just take off, do an engine swap, and not worry about having to lift up the car so high to get the engine out. I'm just going to be following off of that here. I'm going to be working inside of the engine bay and still a little bit on the core support. If you guys remember, the front end looks like it had some sort of accident, but right next to the core support, that sheet metal in the engine bay is a bit wrinkled up, it's a bit bent, so I need to go ahead and take care of that because obviously I don't want that to be seen. You know, I want a nice, straight, clean car before I start working onto the motor. So hopefully you guys are taking down some good information and can use it on your own projects, whether it be in the future or not. But without taking any more time, let's go ahead and get right into that video. Alright guys, so just to kind of recap of what we went over, I got the core support, the JDM core support right here. This is able to just come right off, and you know it's JDM because I have the badge on there. Cut off the lower section, the crossbar, because I'm using the crossbar off of the original radiator support. This one is already kind of damaged. And then here's the lower crossbar that I'm going to be using, the original one. And then here's the damaged one. See, it's all kind of nasty and beat up. Now basically the Del Sol has an open front end, kind of like the drag cars, where you could easily swap out the motor, change up some of the front. You know, if you have like an intercooler, radiator, you could change all that up pretty quick with welding tabs on and what have you. Next thing I need to do is I'm going to take off the fenders. I need to go ahead and start to take care of this section here on the sheet metal, also on this side. But actually, before I take that stuff off, I'm going to be deleting the power steering, going to be deleting the cruise control. So I need to get this out the way for now. I'm not going to completely delete it as of now, just get the main accessories out the way. So I'm going to get started on this, get that cooler out, these lines, the reservoir, and probably take off this power steering hose as well.
Play dead, made that.
Silky beat.
Got rid of the power steering hose, the cooler, the reservoir, the lines that were here, as well as the cruise control. The cruise control, for some reason, had an extra wire hooked up to it. Not sure exactly what was going on with that or what they had hooked up with it. But now we could see a better view of the sheet metal. You can see that the sheet metal has been bent here. So what I really plan to do is to just cut it straight out. I'm going to try to leave the tab there for the AC, for the evaporator, because I am going to keep AC. So I'm just going to cut this piece of metal out so we don't have it all crumpled up there. I'm going to cut this side as well, and this one I'm probably going to cut even more, but I'm going to leave the hump here for the wheel well. Later on, if I want to, I can just put sheet metal and just shave it and just have a nice clean look. But really, I'm thinking I'm just going to have it nice and open. Some of the newer cars do have opened up wheel wells. covering up with some of the plastic. I do plan to have the fender liner for the meantime. Here's the parts I took off the power steering cooler, and then we got the lines, the hoses, the reservoir, and then we have the line here that would go to the pump, the main line, and as well goes to the rack and pinion. And then here we have the cruise control with that additional wiring. Not sure where it goes to. That takes a little bit of weight off, possibly I would probably say 7 to 10 pounds if anything. For this, I'm not going to be making my final cut just yet, but I'm going to get the main section, the crumpled part that we don't need. Alright, and now the view without the fender. You could tell it's pretty much crumpled up to about this area, and all of this would be crumpled right there. And then we take a look on this side. Same also, and it looks like the subframing, it looks pretty good. It doesn't seem to be bent in any sort of way. So just the impact of the sheet metal on this side. And get my Dremel and get started on cutting it. I think I'm gonna start my cut probably somewhere around about here and just come my way down onto here. I am going to be getting rid of some of the holes for the brackets and what have you, but you know, in a future video I'm going to show you how I'm going to take care of it. But also we're going to cut right here, and then later for the spot welds I'm going to need to drill those out or grind them off. That is the rough cut of how it is going to look. Of course I'm going to straighten it up, but like I said, it's just a rough cut. Here's the pieces that came off, you know, they're already bent up, and then the little additional pieces I decided to cut on them. But I mean, they don't really weigh much, so it's not like you're really weight savings on here. So I kind of got just everything just loosely on there. But you guys could see, even with the headlights in, the bumper on, probably not even going to notice the empty spot there in the corner. So, you know, you just notice it when it's off. But even like this, some people probably won't even notice. So I used a tape measure and a Sharpie over here to kind of mark off where I'm going to be cutting. On the core support, I am actually going to be cutting this off. The bottom bar will be bolting up by itself, so you can do them separately. It's just not needed metal right there. I most likely am going to grind this off too as well. I don't know what I'm going to need that for, if anything, but I could always bolt it on, do a bolt on little thing if I need it. On the engine bay, I have where exactly I'm going to be cutting. There with the Sharpie, kind of round everything off. And then for the passenger side as well. I do need to spend a little bit more time in the engine bay to get all the panels off completely and make it look nice. So it is going to take a little bit of time, but gotta get at it. So here we have the final cuts on the core support, and now the final cuts in the engine bay. And then I did get rid of the other layer of metal that was connected to here, and then I cut it under there to make it smooth. So it's quite a bit of metal taken off, I ain't gonna lie, but I think it looks pretty good. And once everything is in, And you know, if you have to swap out the motor, I think it's going to be a breeze, and it's going to make everything a lot easier. Here it is with the core support. Of course, don't have the fenders on or the lower bar. So next up, I'm just going to be smoothing out the edges on here, and then probably put a little bit of paint so it doesn't rust on me. And then the same thing on the core support, just smoothing out those edges, put a little bit of paint on them. And here's all the extra bits and pieces that I did cut off. Alright guys, so now the edges have been grinded with the grinding wheel, sanded down so there are not any sharp edges. And also I did just put a little bit of random gloss paint, gloss black paint on there, just so we don't have any rusting issues. But that's the way it's looking. It looks pretty good. This is for the most part the final cut, or until I start, you know, doing like paint and body for the engine bay. But that's basically what it's looking like. And then as well here, grinded down all the studs for the spot welds, since it did have to cut that out. And then on this side, and then of course that engine bay cut right there. And then did get the bottom portion for those spot welds. So all that is going to be open. There's going to have to be a little bit of relocation of some things, but not really too much. It's just going to be some wiring. I don't think it's going to be difficult at all. And then right here have the radiator support. Just did the same thing for those grinded down parts. Just put some black paint just to kind of protect it for now. But that's what it's looking, guys. Well, alright guys, there you have it. As you guys saw, I just cut out that piece of metal in the engine bay for both the driver and the passenger side. Now the other thing I did was cut the lower section of the core support. So like I told you guys, I'm going to have the lower bar of that radiator support just bolt up by itself, so I can just take it on and off as I please and not really have to worry about the upper section of that core support. So overall, I think this is going to turn out as a pretty clean little project. I really haven't seen too many people record the process, or even I don't even think I've seen this in person, to be quite honest. I think it's more of a drag racing thing, but you know, this is just part of the process I have to do because the Del Sol has been wrecked before. But it's always been something that's in my mind, something I wanted to do just because it looks pretty cool. But hopefully you guys get the idea and see where I'm coming from. But of course, I'm going to have following videos on how I'm going to continue on with this process and how everything is going to come together. So make sure you are subscribed, and hope you guys drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think, or let me know where you guys are from. All the new subscribers, I do welcome you guys. Well, alright guys, there you have it. As you saw, I just went ahead and cut out that metal that is in the engine bay. Also, if you guys saw, I did cut the lower section of the core support because I do plan to use that lower bar for the radiator just to have it as a bolt up section I can take on and off separate from the upper section of the core support. But hopefully you guys are following along and liking of what is happening. I don't think many people have posted about a bolt up section, at least with a Honda, and as well I actually haven't been up personally to a Honda with the bolt up core support, but to me this is more of a drag racing thing, but definitely it's something that can be done on the street. I really don't see a reason why it would not. And if you guys have any questions, drop them down below, or if you have any comments, just drop them down below, guys. I really do appreciate each and every one of you, especially if you stay to the very end. Please make sure you are subscribed and have those bell notifications turned on, guys. But alright guys, that is going to be the end of this video. I really do thank you guys for staying to the very end. I'm going to have to catch you on the next one, player.